Hello, I'm Alex Mansfield, the host of Manny Talks Shooting, and welcome to another episode. This is the shooting podcast where I talk to individuals all across the shooting industry. We'll talk competition, self-defense, concealed carry. If you like this content, check out our YouTube channel, Manny Talks Shooting. And without further ado, let's get to this episode. Manny Talks Shooting is proudly presented to you by D2 Custom Guns. Did you know that Phil the Groundhog isn't the only thing Puxatawny, Pennsylvania is famous for? That's right, D2 Custom Guns, the home of Dan Heitzenreiter and one of the best, fabulous 2011 builders in the country. So make sure you guys go check him out, D2 Custom, anywhere you can see him on the social media, Facebook, Instagram, go check him out. If you see myself, Patches Reader, anyone with the D2 Custom Guns, make sure you go check him out, and you will thank me later. Now, let's get on to the show. Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to another installment of the Manny Talks Shooting podcast. Thank you for checking out this episode. It's going to be a great one. It's a blast from the past, a guy we've had on here before. We're sitting down with my friend, Mr. John Vlieger. John, how you doing today, sir?
I'm doing pretty damn well. Thanks for asking.
Well, it's good because, you know, you are now a national champion and feel pretty damn good about it. So we're going to talk about that and a lot more of this show, and I think people are going to really enjoy it. But I'm honestly glad to sit back down with you and chit-chat. It's been a minute, so I'd have to look. You probably got to be in one of the first 50 episodes, and we're already over 173. So we've survived most podcast lifespan. So, but anywho, so people, if you haven't listened to the first episode, go back and listen to it. Things have changed. We'll talk more about it in this show, but nothing too bad. So, John, like, you know, you're working. You're back at Mark 7, which is cool. Back to where you belong, and I want to talk a little bit about that first before we dive into nationals and your cool business venture that you've dived on. So I'm one of those people, probably like most of these people listening to the show, they like to shoot. They really want to be competitors. They want to churn out ammo. But they're looking at themselves thinking, is it worth it for me to move? Is it worth it to me to get a Mark 7 or automate? And you're probably one of the better people to talk to about that because you've done it yourself.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, Mark 7 reloading is we manufacture, I work there full time. We manufacture some of the highest quality reloading presses, automated and progressive reloading presses on the market. We're based out of the U.S., Florida and Connecticut manufacturing. And our flagship is the Apex 10, a 10-station progressive press. It is meant to be automated, more easily from the ground up with our automation. And that's what he's talking about when he says, automate Mark 7. I love working there. We bring some of the best automation out there to the market. People who are looking at our machines and thinking about it, I can't answer that question for you. Obviously, I think it's worth it. I purchased one myself. That's how I got in to know the company. Purchased one myself mid-18, serial number 2 Evolution. But it's how much is your time worth? I can't answer that question for you. Any time you start talking about reloading, it's like, oh, well, I only have so much time, or I do this, I have my time set up this way, I process, or I clean, and maybe they hand prime in front of the TV while they watch. Like not that I would ever recommend that, but some people do it. And it comes down to how much is your time worth. For me, I can walk up to the machine, I can double, triple check my settings, and I can hit run on this machine, and I can have 250 rounds of practice ammo, and then I can go out back and shoot that practice ammo less than 10 minutes later, all in the span of 15 minutes or so, something like that, 20 minutes. And that gives me more of my time back. And when I'm processing a lot of ammo, I make my nationals ammo in one fell swoop. That takes me a solid hour, and that's it. It's an hour. That's what you have to answer for yourself. It's not just about the price of the loaded ammunition. It's how much of the time you may already be spending reloading that you get back when you automate and you invest in that. You're investing in your future, really. If you really want to think about it, you're investing in your future. That's where I approach it from, is a time savings. Not just that, but it's high quality ammo. It's set and forget as it pertains to, if you're going to be, smart about it, set and forget on machine settings. If you have, I don't have kids, I don't have little humans walking around playing with buttons. But in that respect, you still have to watch out for it. But it's set and forget in that I set that thing up. I'm not worried about changing, tool heads. Sorry, changing dies out like in a single stage or turret press, or being minimized by only having 5 stations like on a Dillon 650, 750. So that's really where I come from. That was a big little tirade there, but yeah, it's about time saving, man.
Mm-hmm. Well, and so as you were talking, and you never know, your dogs might be able to reach that bench and change things. You never know; they might be tough enough.
Yeah, my 3 whippets are more couch potatoes than they are machine operators.
You never know; they're gonna figure out ways to stand on each other's shoulders and be just like a tall dog and move in unison, or wear a trench coat. You never know.
They could be trench coat optional.
Trench coat is optional. So while you were talking, I looked this up. So, the base Apex 10, $2,500, right? Decent price, right?
And you can find it for less than that.
Right. Well, and here's the crazy part. Your competitor for the, 2 less stations, I believe, is like $200 less. Like, why would you not just spend the extra money to get the extra stations? And I'm not affiliated with, Mark 7 Reloading or, Dillon, but it's crazy. Like, it's, and one, the Apex 10 is made here, correct? Well,
yep,
all made here, which is another cool thing, right? And I can't necessarily speak for the other product here, but cool thing is eventually you could pay John to come out and set up your press for lots of money.
Yeah, that is one thing I do. I do travel around setting up machines for usually small businesses that are getting into reloading, or medium-sized or large businesses, as a traveling technician in that respect.
I remember a couple messages I've joked with you. I'm like, how much is it for you to come set up my machine? And I'm like, oh, that's not, I can't. John's too expensive for me. But anyway, no, that's now. So then we talk about automation, right? And when we talked in the pre-show, I load 100 rounds, my shoulders and arms hurt from fatigue, respiratory motion. I was I swam in high school, so my shoulders are jacked. Like building stages and holding my arms up like this long enough, it's quite annoying and hurtful. It just hurts, right? So I don't like loading because of it, but I have to load because I shoot open because I can't trust anyone to load ammo for me.
Yep. So when it comes to automation, like similar to you, I have an old minor shoulder injury in my right shoulder. I loaded a few hundred rounds at work manually a while back, and it killed me. It's uncomfortable. So if you have that going on, automation saves you. But really, like, once again, going back to the time savings thing, and I sound like I'm shilling here. I'm not in sales at all. I was an early adopter of these things, and this is the reason why I got into it and use it. Is that you're able to break stuff up more efficiently and not have to worry about the manual investment. The manual investment of processing brass goes away. You're no longer having to factor in, do I want to pull this handle 1,000 times to process this brass? No, nobody wants to do that to process brass. That doesn't make any sense. So with an automated machine, you can throw brass in there, process it, and potentially, if you feel comfortable, leave the room, because what's the worst that happens? You get brass that isn't right and has to get thrown back in the machine to get ran through. Usually that's the worst that can happen. There are some things that are worse than that. But in general, I'm getting those motions back. Mm-hmm. And besides that, it's consistent, man. I'm not consistent. The machine, I trust the machine to be consistent.
Right. Well, and that's why they built in sensors, right? The sensors catch some of the mistakes and the machine fucking up, right?
Yeah, digital babysitters. If you don't set them up and don't pay your babysitter, then they ain't gonna do you much good. But yeah, powder check, swage sense, to catch for primers that are not fully decapped, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. So I have a question, because not everyone just shoots one caliber like most. I mean, we don't all shoot one caliber, right? You shoot 40 and 9 minor and 9 major. I'm assuming you have different tool head setups for all those functions.
Believe it or not, no.
You just change out your dies and reset the machine.
Yeah, I've had this machine for 6 years, and I still only have one tool head. I am the outlier. It's because I load 40 once a year for like 3 weeks, and that's it. And I apparently last year I loaded ammo ahead of time. I loaded more ammo than I thought I did, so I had less work to do this year. But yeah, same thing. I just changed it over back to 9 last night, And when it comes to major or minor, I'm usually leaving it like that for several months and making ammo as I go. Maybe I change components. Maybe I have a practice load versus a match load. Maybe I have a certain powder I got cheap. Like I have a lot of clean shot on hand, for example. So I might use that for certain application versus another. But when I change between major and minor, it's usually after, several months of using it like that. And I'm dedicating, for example, I just got back from single stack nationals and I changed my press from 40 to 9. Mm-hmm. That press is going to be in 9 of some sort. It's going to be a 9 major, excuse me. It's going to be a 9 major specifically until after October 20th. That's when Open Nationals is over. And then after that, it's probably going to be in major for a bit. I'm going to load some more practice ammo to have on hand for over the winter and what have you. And then it's going back into 9 minor, and I'm probably just going to crank out like 10K 9 minor for future practice use for like carry optics or limited optics. So I do batches. I don't need or want to be able to. Well, obviously, I want that capability. Who doesn't want the capability? But I don't have any need to be able to rapidly configure from one to the other.
Mm-hmm. Right. So with loading batches, are you ever worried about, say, a die getting loose, or are the Lyman dies pretty much rock solid where you set a set screw and it's not going to move or adjust?
No, I mean, any die can come loose. There's always operator error. I inspect not constantly, but I keep in mind that I've been around this equipment, in a commercial setting, decent enough amount. I've seen the horror stories. I've learned a lot of what not to do in my own loading as a didn't even know that could happen kind of way from working in that environment. And I can tell you, dies come loose unless and until you verified they're not loose. So paint markers, I don't have any on my machine. A lot of the stuff I'm talking about is just ways you can do it. I'm not saying I do these things, but paint markers to mark location of dies, drilling and tapping dies that aren't already drilled and tapped and putting a set screw there. But in general, a properly secured die is not going to walk on you. Mm-hmm. The issue there is properly secured. And in normal operation, you have a big jam of some sort, or you're pulling your hair out because of another issue and you forget that you loosened that die. That's where in the normal course of events, a die is not going to come loose on you. Yes, it can happen, of course, but that's part of your due diligence. Mm-hmm. Kick the tires, man, before you boot up your automated machine to make little hand grenades. But no, for me, I mean, it's kind of different. I can literally shoot and test fire and chrono my ammunition within 10 feet of where my press currently is. I could even do it 0 feet if I wanted to discharge in my shop here. I don't like doing that. But I can chrono very close. So when I'm making like nationals ammo, depending on my components, I'll do it at least once, but I'll make sure my load is right. I'll crank off, I'll load about 10 or 15, and then I'll pull 3 out of the stream, pause the machine. I'll go out and shoot those, make sure they make power factor as it needed in both, or all the guns they need to make power factor in. And then I'll keep loading. And about 200 rounds in, 150 rounds in, I will pull again and test again. And then sometimes I'll test the very last few to make sure, double sure. But that's a little bit more paranoia's sake. But it's also an easy way to be sure. I don't have that concern going through my head when I'm driving. Hey, is this load? Is the humidity? Is the temperature difference between when I loaded this ammo in December and now going to matter?
Mm-hmm.
So,
fair enough. Yeah, and I guess, and another thing to say about it is knowing your powder. Is it temperature sensitive? Do you need to worry about all of that? Right?
And man, saying all that, it's a lot. It's not. It doesn't come into play, every time, but it can. Mm-hmm. But I mean, when it comes to doing batches, if you're doing what you're supposed to do and watching the machine and being in front of the machine, then you're gonna see or hear when something goes wrong. Otherwise, you should be checking it or catching it when you check ammunition as it comes out. You should be case gauging occasionally as it comes out, checking your measurements. Because it's not just about the powder. It's about your primer seating depth. It's about your overall length. It's about your crimp setting. All of these things. When you talk about a die coming loose, your bullet feeder die coming loose doesn't really matter because you'll notice that as soon as you stop dropping bullets onto your cases. Mm-hmm. Your expansion die, you'll notice that when bullets stop sticking on your on your cases. Stuff like that, you're going to catch pretty quick because it's going to be obvious. It's the stuff that you can't catch by eyeball that you need to be inspecting.
Oh yeah. Oh, 100%. Yep. Luckily I've had I had a die walk for some reason. It was my crimp die. I don't know. I guess it was full of brass shavings at some point because I was lazy, and I could spin some bullets, and I'm like, oh, that's not good. The thing I actually checked them because they got scrapped and redone because no one wants to put that in an open gun because it's already a hand grenade. But and another thing too is like, I'm assuming your Rafferty 9 major gun likes to be X hot, right? It likes to have its certain load. So you're probably not skating the power factor floor for major.
I'm gonna challenge you real quick.
Okay.
People who have claimed that their gun likes to be ran hot. Okay. Have they ever provided any evidence to that?
Probably not.
I rest my case. People who say that, I disagree that it truly matters. Cody Baker, for those who don't know, Cody Baker won Open National title in 2017 and shot for a few years after that. Once COVID hit, he basically went back to working. He's still around. He's still in the sport, but he's not competing as far as I know any longer. He and I were prepping to go to IPSC Nationals. We shot together locally a lot. And I asked him, I was like, hey, man, are you going to drop your power factor down, from the usual 170-ish to take advantage of the lower power factor floor in IPSC, which is 160 instead of 165? And he said, oh, hell yeah. Like, why have more recoil? I'm paraphrasing here, but why have more recoil when you don't need to? That doesn't make any sense. And I was like, huh. And I played with it a little bit. It's like, man, either I couldn't tell a difference, or if I was really paying attention, it did feel nicer to have a softer hit in the hand. And on the flip side of that, I just went from 40 major, 3 weeks of punishing myself, to 9 major with a comp, and holy crap, there's no comparing. It's so much nicer shooting open again. But yeah, I don't think I have never purposely ran an open gun of any configuration, and I've shot a shorty for a little bit. I've shot a full size Freedom Gunworks as well as Rafferty. I've shot 2 different shorties. Excuse me, a Freedom Gunworks shorty as well as a Rafferty shorty, and then my 2 minis mid-size that I've had for the last 4 years. And I've never ran any of them past about 1,400 feet per second on purpose. Anyway, I mean, I got by a powder lot this year. Opened up a new jug and just assumed it was the same lot as the other jug I had been using, and woof, that jumped up 30 feet per second. Yeah, a little spicy. But other than that, no, I challenge that argument. I'm not going to stand here and preach from a hill that it's wrong. I will just say that I challenge it, and I would like to see evidence of that. So if anybody out there, any of the listeners, want to provide some evidence or do some testing of their own, please provide it. But I feel that if you can get lower recoil, you should. But you still need some gas to run the comp and gas volume. That's why I run Accurate number 7. It's a much denser powder. It's got its downsides. It's more expensive. It's dirty as hell. And that's about it. I mean, if you don't mind cleaning your gun, like, it's not that big of a deal. And it just works better. But people who shoot auto comp in open are weird. They're hamstringing themselves. But it's so cheap. And since when has cheap ever been a sign of good? Or necessarily, an intrinsic quality of good. It does not generate much gas volume. It generates a lot of pressure. You get pressure spiky real quick. The 0.4 grains difference between making major and going above that is, you're popping primers out. Meanwhile, with Accurate number 7, I do that, and I can't do that because I can't fit that much powder in the case or close to it. So anyway, moving on. 9 major. Yeah, I challenge that, man. I challenge that assumption. I've heard it forever. Certain people, I knew Steve Marsden. He's back shooting again. So Steve, if you're listening, I don't believe you. But his open gun I shot it back in like 2018, and no, before that. Anyway, around that time period, and it was a freaking just like getting slapped in the hand with a 2x4. It's bullshit. And he's like, "Yeah, it runs better. It's hot." I'm like, "You're wrong. No, that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. We're trying to reduce recoil. We're not trying to add to it so we can reduce it. What? No."
Right. Like, and even my D2C, like it shoots about 172 to 174 power factor in my normal load, which the dot returns phenomenally. Like, that's what I'm loving, is the fact that the dot just returns how it's supposed to, and I don't have to fight it. Like, that's one of the best things about, having a custom gun. You can tune your load to it, or vice versa. As you know, with your pimp gun, like, that is probably one of the coolest, bougie guns that can still shred. Right? It's not like an Infinity that people won't shoot.
No, that gun, the gold grip and frame, DLC polished DLC black slide and gold barrel and comp. I think we did. Yeah, it's got blue aluminum. So the Magwell and the I gave Pat free reign. Pat Rafferty free. I just said, fuck my shit up, man. And he's like, "You sure?" I'm like, "Yes, I'm sure." Because I told him to do it like 4 years ago, and COVID happened, and everything was in a rush, and nothing was happening, and everyone was like, "What the hell?" So we didn't do it. It is it's very pimplicious. It definitely attracts the attention. But that gun, this is its 3rd season. Yeah,
it's about time. You probably you're going to get another one at this point.
No, I talked to Pat about this, especially because he's building more limited, just almost purely limited optics builds anymore. If I were to ask him nicely for an open gun, he'd tell me to, he'd say why, is what he'd say. So I'm waiting for him to want something to break. I told Pat, "Hey man, like the one of them has been OEM essentially since early 2020 and is still trucking. And the other one had a new top end put on it in early 22, so it only had 2 seasons before. It's on its 3rd season now. But that was out of an abundance of caution. That wasn't. I mean, I still have that upper. It still exists and still works. So that gun's on its 3rd season. We're just gonna wait for something to pop. We're waiting for gonna wait for the slide to crack. And I shoot the older gun more. I always start a training session with that gun, and I'll shoot 3 or 4 mags, and I'll go to the other gun. I heat that one up. But yeah, I just shot 200 rounds between them yesterday.
Nice. So I want to dabble quick backly into Mark 7 before we move on. Talk about your victory at Handgun Nationals. As you personally, not as a employee, what sensors do you think are mandatory?
Powder check. Period. I mean, is the big bold letters: "Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Get the sensor and use it." It's a sanity check, man. You had a malfunction whatever happened, and you dump that powder out to check it, and you put that case back in that location without powder in it. So not the machine's fault as much as operator error induced, or even if it is machine's fault. Machines fail, sure. But regardless of cause, you're at least putting something in the way. There's an additional step that isn't human in the way of you making a boo-boo, making a double charge or a squib scenario. And powder check is it. Number 2, swage sense. Yeah, swage sense. It was one of the first sensors to come out. It's basically a pressure cutoff for the swage rod. And swaging, for those that don't know, is you're shoving a rod with beveled edges into the primer pocket of a decapped case to remove any military crimp, and also to kind of lightly bevel the entryway to the primer pocket for more reliable priming. And especially with automated, swaging is mucho beneficial. And if you can, you should. Just by rule, it doesn't cost you anything. And so a swage sense goes in there, and if it hits resistance versus the way it's been set, like a ring of the primer left over in the primer pocket, or it didn't decap it at all, it should stop the machine and say, "Hey, you're about to try and shove a primer in this. You probably shouldn't." So that makes sense. Those two, but I loaded with just those two sensors for a long time.
Very good. Yeah, I would kind of agree. The powder check is a safety measure for a reassurance fact. I mean, us shooting open, it's more likely that we have a squid. We would have no powder. We checked something than an overcharge because most of the time you can't double charge one of these without powder spilling everywhere on your machine.
On the plus side, a squib, as long as it's caught, is end of a stage, not end of your gun.
Yep.
So, funny story on that. This came up recently, but it comes to squibs. I have at least marginally destroyed hearing from my Army service, and then the chosen hobby that I've had for the last 10 years as well. But multiple times I have yelled "stop" on a stage when I wasn't the RO and someone had a squib, because that sound is just ingrained in my head of what a squib sounds like. And stopped a guy at Tennessee State many years ago. It wasn't a squib. It was a sideways primer.
Okay.
He shoved a primer in sideways, and it didn't go off when he installed it, but it did go off when the firing pin hit it. But it did not ignite the cartridge. So he's like, what the hell's your problem? And just cycled out looks like a live round, and had a bunch of soot on the base from where the primer had gone off, but none of it went down the flash hole. And I have to imagine if it did ignite, it would have burned really weird, and maybe wouldn't have left the gun at all. But I don't know.
It's more impressive because we were talking about this at a local match the other day, just about the sound, right? That sound is just a distinct sound. Mm-hmm. Even I was hearing stories of someone at Nationals on your squad who possibly had shot out some squibs out their gun.
I don't know if I'm thinking about the same thing you're thinking of. I did hear some very light bangs from a revolver shooter or two in the rain. Mm-hmm. So it's squibs. I've had a handful. Out of my first 50 rounds, when I first got into reloading in 2012, I had a squib.
I didn't start in 2012, but yes, probably my first 50 rounds, or maybe even 100 rounds, I had one. Because, I checked the powder, and then forgot to put powder back in it.
Yep.
And the worst part is I didn't take a squib rod to the range, so I had to end the session early.
I had to make a squib rod out of 2 lengths of cleaning rod for a 50 cal in Iraq in 2008. We had bad ammo. We were shooting it up on a range. But for those who don't know, when a 50 cal Modeuce's T slot, its breech face has built-in extractors. They don't pivot; they're just holding onto this rim, and the case gets shoved out vertically, not to the side. And it had ripped the rim off of this 50 cal fired case trying to extract it. Ripped both sides off. So we were trying to forcibly, extract this stuck case from this barrel, and it just rips the rim of a 50 BMG off on either side. And all of a sudden, we can't use this gun anymore, and no one has a clearing rod long enough. So we had to same thing. We had to we tried using pliers and stuff, but ended up having to do it back at the base. It was great, good times.
Mm-hmm. You never would have thought you would have had bad ammo in a war front. But
no, it'd been sitting in the rain for God knows how long, and I was proven right that day. Mm-hmm. I advocated for that ammo to get changed out, and no one listens to the private. So.
Yeah, but you didn't have your Majestic braid back then because you couldn't.
No, I did not.
Everyone listens to the guy with the braid because they think he's silly, but he knows what he's talking.
and for reference, we're not talking for the audio only folks. We're not talking about a braid coming off of my head. I no longer have the capacity for that, so we're emphasizing the goatee / beard. And,
that would be cool if you did a braid if you did have hair, and you could do the Viking braid on the Viking braid down your hair too, and then have the beard. You could pull a pretty good Ragnar off.
I've heard that before. heard that before. Unfortunately, not in the cards.
Yep. It's okay. We'll just wigs, lots of wigs and prosthetic, fake hair. We'll get it done.
Yeah.
No, you're good. You look good in a slick head.
Thanks.
Except you still wear a hat on the range because you're smart. Because no one wants hot brass on their face.
Yeah, and sun protection. It's always nice.
This is true. So all right, the mean potatoes. The real cool thing. You've said it. You've shot 10 years at nationals, and you are finally a national champion. How do you feel? Where's your Mary Kay pink Cadillac?
I don't know about the Cadillac. Contrary to popular belief, you do not win a car or anything anywhere near that monetary value. But yes, single stack nationals is where it connected. I was forcing myself to speak positively about my chances in the weeks leading up to it. It's like when I win single stack nationals, and I am living proof that if you cross your fingers and pray and believe hard enough, good things can happen. My 10th season. So I shot my first national event. Was not my first level 3 or above. I shot an area match that year, but I got really heavy into shooting actual level 2s and up in 2015. I shot them as many as I could. I think I shot 15 in 15. I shot 22 the following year. But I shot nationals in Frostproof. I shot limited nationals. And then the very next, I shot open nationals there back to back in late 2015. And I took first A in limited in 2015. And I had just traded for an open gun. And I had shot it right before I left for that match. And I was like, holy shit, this is fun. So I messaged my buddy. I said, hey, this is awesome. He said, hey, there's still walk-on slots. I'm like, yes, please. And that's coincidentally also how I got my start in open when I finished. I still remember I finished 43rd, first A at 72-ish% in limited nationals. The very next day, whatever 3-day block, whatever it was, I finished 33rd, so 10 placements better, and 78% of the winner. Now there's benefit to have I'm warmed up. I got to shoot the stages even though they got changed a little bit. I still blah blah blah. I was more confident, sure, but I was also shooting and opening up for the first time. It was really encouraging. It's like, hey, I don't suck at this, and that was 2015, and this year 2024, 10th season of attending national events. I was able to, get rid of the woulda, coulda, shouldas, at least for how much they mattered. And it was a race. Short version is day one. I ended with a 17-point lead over Dave Savigny. And end of day 2, we were as close as you can basically get and not be tied. He was in the lead, but he was only 0.48 points ahead of me. So we were effectively tied, and managed to shoot really well day 3 and seal the deal. The first stage of day 3, the door kind of opened for me. I didn't even realize it until I got done shooting. I was after Dave. Dave was first, I think, on that stage or something close to it. He was up pretty soon, and I didn't realize it, but Dave had an FTSA penalty. He did not engage the one target you had to be in a certain spot for on this one of the only 2 short courses. One of the only 2 short courses in the match. Every match, the average round count was 27 and a half. It was 16 stages, 440 rounds required, and it was average 27 and a half. And these were 17 and 16 round courses. But he forgot a target. I did pretty well on that stage. Can't remember if I won it or got close to winning it, and that gave me a 40-point lead on him. And my plan changed immediately after I realized that. I realized that I no longer have to take risks. I had a mic on stage 16 actually, and he did okay, but he didn't do amazing. I was fast, but I was and otherwise accurate, but I had a mic. And he was shooting minor. He had to be more accurate, and being accurate on 25-yard moving targets and 20-yard statics is not the easiest thing in the world. Long story short, stage 16, I did not lose as much as I could have, so I was still maintain a 35-ish point lead, and ended with a 29 points ahead, I think. Mm-hmm. Things would have been different if he had not had that penalty. So I take that penalty away and leave my performance the same, and he wins, I think, if you do the math there. But you can't really say that because how much time would it have taken him to engage that target and so on. Mm-hmm. But it would have been a very, very close race. As it was day 3, I still had to perform, but I had some to give, like that mic, for example, and I could afford to have other screw-ups, but not many. Some people would say I was coasting. I disagree with that. My last stage, I was definitely coasting. I think you can see it in my shooting. The only thing is there's a difference between telling yourself, don't fuck this up, and telling yourself that in a positive way. Mm-hmm. As a reassuring, say, hey, you got this. All you have to do is not fuck this up. And I mean fuck this up. I don't mean, a small mistake. If you don't execute perfectly, you lose. No, I was not in that position, luckily, thankfully. So I was able to, hey, see your sights on every shot. Go. Let's go. Load the gun. Load the gun. And so I was telling myself all weekend, just load the gun. 94 times, by the way.
Oh my God, you counted?
I counted. You want to know how many extra shots I had, though?
Oh, I'm very curious on that.
So let me make sure I get my count right in my head. You talk to the audience while I'm counting.
Which is really impressive because he has the mental capacity to remember this, because I wouldn't. I'd be like, I'd have to watch every video again to figure this out. But and he can do hit factor math on the fly because I can't either. He could probably remember. I bet he could play back this match in his brain exactly. He's probably that visualized into this.
I pretty much can, but not exactly. Shit, now I lost count. If I remember correctly, if I had to review I want to say it's 9. I think I had 9 shots that were not strictly required.
It's impressive. That's a whole gun's worth.
So the whole 8+1, babe. That's all I needed. Yeah. All I needed. But no, that's where my ability to. If you don't go 1 for 1 in single stack, like that's the difference. Like that's why. That's why I can say 9. I can count it on with just my hands. You have to do that in single stack, man. Like that's just the way it rolls. You can't stand there and go to war with steel.
Oh no, well, it's just more time. You go to war with steel. You have your slide lock reload. What is that? At least 1.5 seconds, maybe 2 seconds in time purely alone.
Call it 2. Just straight up call it 2.
Worst comes to worst, it's that back pouch on your ass crack.
Yep. Oh, that's what upset me. Stage we started on it. Day 2, we started on 9. Yeah, we started on 9. And that stage was unloaded start. So let me just count the ways that I was upset. Okay, as a single stack shooter. It was pouring rain. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm less upset than the dot guys, I guess, but still not happy. I got to clean this gun later. It's going to rust. Damn it.
Yeah.
Unloaded start. Okay, I lose my Barney round. All right. Table start. I like those. I'm not that worried about that. All right. To immediately shoot an 8-round array, and then if you just on your way out of this area, like 2 breaths to your left is another target.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Which means you have to load between the 8-round array you have to stand there for and this one target. And you don't have a Barney anymore. So you're purposely going to slide lock. So you're purposely going to slide lock. That's number 3.
Yep.
All right. In an 8-round array, that's number 4. And then having to load immediately as you turn left. That's number 5. So we haven't even left the first position really and I'm upset with you. But the rest of it was fine. But no, I shot that really well in the pouring rain. That's the one they recorded for USPSA Today. By the way, total side note, holy crap, USPSA is doing it. They're actually putting effort forward in having some legit coverage of their nationals match live streamed in a digestible fashion. I'm over the moon.
Mm-hmm. Oh, like I was watching it during the show. Like I think I turned in when it was raining. While it was live raining, I was watching it, and I thought it was cool. So I messaged someone at USPSA, and I'm like, "Whose idea was this?" And it was like so and so's. I'm like, "Well, good for them because it's actually cool. I liked watching it. It's still not content that gets us pushed out towards like new audiences, but it's appealing to us as shooters that like the content."
Yeah. Especially with the race, there was multiple good races at this event. I mean, production was 3 days of trying to watch JJ screw up, or watching for JJ to screw up when he didn't, and everybody else failing to meet that requirement. And then you had limited optics, which was to the freaking wire with multiple contenders. Revolver had a little bit of a shakeup, I think, but single stack, there were less than 2% separating us at the end.
Right. That was the race to watch because especially like, and everyone will ask me, "Did you watch my nationals performance?" No, I only cared who won. Like I'm not scrolling, guys. Like it's not like I don't love you all, but it's like I don't care really. I'll tell you. You can tell me at the end, but no. Yes, I do remember watching that stage. I haven't watched this. Maybe I watched your squad. I can't remember. I think I did, but on one of those, it was definitely a crappy. Oh, sweet! Magic beer up here. I like that.
Yeah, magic beer is
magic beer. Audio listeners will not understand, but the video people understand the beer beers. It's great. But
thank you.
It just shows that she loves you. It really does.
Yeah.
But no, yeah. So speaking of that, you chose major. Do you stick? If you could take it back, do you still stick to major?
Well, it won.
Well, it did win. But would you think would the match have been better for you, or more advantageous to be in minor, and losing the power? The major points.
I don't know. I think that of the single stack nationals I've attended, this match favored minor middle of the road to more than usual. I'm not going to say it was hands down. I used to shoot minor. I shot minor at Talladega single stack nationals once or maybe twice. I can't remember. But I remember, like in retrospect, like there was like 2 stages where minor was a strict advantage.
Okay.
And I mean strict. I mean, with 10 rounds, I can do stuff that they can't even think about, because it doesn't make sense. And historically, that's pretty much the way it works. But I went to 9 on purpose, like 3 times. So what that tells you is that when a single stack shooter plans to go to 9, it means... meaning they are planning to end the stage at slide lock. No takebacks. Your choices are what your choices are. And, if you do a slide lock reload here, like we already discussed, you're adding 2 seconds to the clock. It means that either all the other plans suck more than what he chose. And like, hey, this is the least. This allows him to go to 6, 6, 6, and then 9, where he's got extras for those whatever case may be, or that's because it's the only plan that makes sense. And stage 2, I looked at it real hard because there were no less than 3 plans that all had 9 in them. To do a plan that made any sense, you were going to 9. And I chose to end at 9 instead of having to squeeze 9 in there and do a slide lock reload at all. Like, especially in 40, like my gun works, but every time I do a slide lock reload with a single stack, I'm scared.
For hitting the ejector?
No, of it not feeding.
Oh, because of how the bullet, because it's based off, the gun's made for a 45, but we cram 9s and 40s in it.
Correct, exactly. And even though I'm loading 1.2, but yeah, I get scared, And my gun was flawless except for a slide lock reload. The only one, or no, not the only one. One of it was because I took an extra shot. I had to do a slide lock reload. Stage 8, one of my worst stages percentage wise, and it didn't quite go. Like went like halfway, kind of stuttered, so I just had to rack it a tiny bit more and give it some momentum. It was almost up the feed ramp, but maybe I thumbed the slide, whatever. But no, I went to 9 a lot at this match. So outside looking in, so minor was better. No, not really, because of the sheer amount of wide open targets. Like I could shoot Charlies. I didn't, because that's the other aspect of it. It's a balance. I think single stack is one of the most balanced divisions in the sport. I really do. There's actual choices to make, minor versus major. I wish major wasn't dying entirely, that's a different discussion. But I had wide open targets. I could shoot Charlies. Yeah, but I didn't have any extra bullets. And you still have to shoot alphas if you want to win. A Charlie just sucks less. It doesn't not suck. Alphas are great. Alphas are the standard. Alphas are what you should, the baseline. Like everyone's trying to stay as close to the baseline as possible, and every Charlie or worse is a deviation from baseline, and they don't want it. You accept the deviation. You accept that Charlies are going to happen. But like I had my last 2 stages of day 1, I was upset with myself because I had like 10 and 11. I had 9 Charlie, 1 Delta, and then I had 11 Charlie on a stage. And I was like, holy crap, I'm hemorrhaging. And then Dave would shoot, and he'd have 6 Charlie. I'm like, oh, my score's still better. Because he's shooting minor, he can't do that. He's not allowed, like from the virtues of how many points he just hemorrhages when he shoots a Charlie.
Right.
So that's the bad trade-off.
That is true. Minor and Charlie's hurts way more than major and Charlie's. I will take 4-point Charlie's any day of the week. But another question I guess I have for you about this is, you are primarily, you shoot, carry optics, open, single stack. Primarily, I consider you an open shooter. Do you feel that gives you an advantage when you go to single stack because you have that sense of urgency and speed required to be a top national contender in open?
No, I would say it. I would say it hurts me or is neutral. My eyeballs. So I am negative 0.25 or something stupid small in my right eye, and I am like 20/15 in my left eye. My left eye is super duper. My right eye is beginning to degrade. The reason why I got that checked, I don't wear glasses or feel that I need them, is because I felt that my ability to rapidly refocus had diminished, or at least it felt like I was struggling more when I would shoot irons. And that's still there, but it less so leading up to. I had like an aha moment like a week before nationals where I'm like, okay, I'm ready. I'm as ready as I'm going to get. My reloads, those came back naturally. There's something about a single stack reload, which is very different from an open gun reload. It just flows for me. I learned it a long time ago, and it's easy to pick back up. Draw, same thing. I'm picking up a gun from my waist that's shaped like a 1911. We're good there. And I was there when this gun was built, so it was made to fit me and da-da-da. But no, it's the eyeballs. I don't feel that being primarily an open shooter or high cap or dot shooter or anything helps or hurts. But what does hurt is for me to feel like I'm lined up, we'll say, takes longer to go from dot to iron than iron to dot. Like no bullshit. I just spent the last month shooting irons. I had my first open practice session 2 or 3 days ago, and my first 5 draws sucked. Dot wasn't there, and then I was nailing steel, or I was doing what I would accept from a practice session when it comes to accuracy and everything. Like it felt good. It felt like I was back on it. Was I 100%? Not quite, but like okay, let's get some work done. Let's have some productive training and have some fun. But with single stack, it's freaking hard, man. It's hard. It's like, what the hell? Like, I thought that was going to be an A, but I dropped that sucker into low Charlie. How the hell did that? Oh, that's because the little nubby thingies weren't lined up exactly right. I forgot. Having to relearn how to do that and do it quickly.
Thank you for watching another episode of Manny Talks Shooting. I greatly appreciate it. And if you could do me a favor, go check out our sponsors when you are available. We've got D2 Custom Guns, Hunter's HD Gold, Go Fast Don't Suck, Outdoor Dynamics, Make Stuff Better, 2 Alpha Apparel, RangePanda.com, Summit City Bullets, Laugh and Load, Southern Bobby Q, and the Tom Castro Shooting Academy. Now let's get back to this awesome episode. Right. Well, and that definitely, you see all these, I see at least locally, you'll see these guys with their irons and they're like, it's always, oh, there's a great hit. And then a mic. It's like, do you not know the bumpy thing's got to come back down just like the red dots guys?
I think my spiciest split, I think I looked it up. I think it was a 16. Was on stage 1. It was also one of the closest targets in the match. But it was, I want to say as much as a 16 split, man. Let's see, that array. It was 17, excuse me. Yeah, I had two splits of 17 in that stage. And those are like the fastest splits I had in the whole match.
Mm-hmm.
I think my average split was like a quarter or something like that. It's slow.
Yeah, but it's probably, well, it's the vision of the vision of the sights to be able to call good shots, right? Even shot calling is huge, right? If you, especially in single stack, if something doesn't look right, you're going to send another one and you're going to find a way to do another reload or fix your plan unless the plan says it's not worth it and you leave the mic. I don't know.
Yeah, if you're planning to go to 9, you leave it.
Yeah.
And man, I wish more people shot single stack, but really, if you think about it, it's kind of one of the hardest to get into from a commitment point of view.
Mm-hmm.
The equipment is special, at least as it pertains to in the sport. So, if I go get a belt rig and build it up for LO, we'll say,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I'm going to have a race holster, I'm going to have some speed pouches, I'm going to have a magnet. It looks good. And hey, actually, I kind of want to shoot open now. Well, depending on the gun model, it all still translates. I'm going to shoot L10, same thing. I'm going to shoot limited, same thing. So that at least has crossover, and then less so as you go into the other divisions, but there's still a bunch of crossover. Meanwhile, with single stack, the mags are only for that gun. The mag pouches are only for that gun. The holster is not a race holster. It's a Kydex. It has to be Kydex or, carry style. You have more pouches, so it's actually slightly larger investment from not counting the holster, slightly larger mag pouch investment. And the gun, if you decide to go 40 or 9, may not run even if it's a factory gun because, well, the guns have those problems when running factory ammo. So we have all these things that are against somebody deciding to shoot single stack. Oh, and by the way, you have the least amount of bullets out of anyone else, and you have the hardest to use sighting system. Ready, set, go. I'm surprised people aren't beating down the doors to shoot single stack nationals. It takes a certain type of person to shoot single stack, and I'm afraid it's going to die out. Because of that. Just relative to everything else. Everything else is not only more fun, but it's more compatible with each other.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still using a holster I bought like 5 years ago for open, and it'll be fine for open forever. It can be rebuilt and do whatever. I'm still using mags I've had since 2016. And I use them in my limited optics gun that I just had built. I have no plans to shoot limited optics right this second, but life happens. And I have gear that just keeps being in rotation. I bought it once and I'm using it for 10 years or 8 years, 6 years. And single stack doesn't have that. But anyway, I like single stack for the challenge, for the differentness of it. And it's where I started. My wife's father, my father-in-law, took me to my first USPSA match. If y'all have ever heard of the boomer shoot, Boomer shoot. It's in rural Idaho, and you go and shoot at high explosives, and they go boom. And people, with destructive devices can come out there. There's some, bowling pin, bowling ball mortar. There's anvil toss, and there's people bring their machine guns out. And he took me to my first USPSA match when I was dating his daughter, and didn't do it again until I turned 21. But when I turned 21, I had a was it a Bull? No, it was Magnum Research. It was made by Bull, but the brand was Magnum Research. Single stack 45, and I shot L10 with it in Puyallup, Washington, Paul Bunyan. And that's where I started. So 12 years after that time frame, 13 years after that, I am now a national champion with that dang gun. Not that gun. I still have that gun. It's in pieces. But in that division, I think it's fitting. I think it makes sense. And yeah, it's crazy that it's finally a thing.
Mm-hmm. And then you get to go back next year, hopefully, if Nationals align to be proper. You can go back and defend your title.
I don't think that'll be happening for multiple reasons.
Yeah.
The biggest one being, I think I will be shooting open at Nationals next year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I will be allowed to shoot single stack if I'm shooting open.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's smart to have.
Have you heard these rumors?
Yeah, I've heard these rumors, but we'll see what happens. They like to change their mind at the last minute too, so you never know.
The birdie that told me said we should know for sure at Open Nationals.
Yeah, well, I'd hope, because it's October by then, and Handgun World Shoot, which is in September next year.
No one. They haven't announced the date. As far as I know, they haven't.
Mm-hmm. You have enough points for the team, correct?
I am currently on the team. I am guaranteed to be invited to attend. And depending on how certain people shoot, depending on how certain people shoot, there is a chance how I shoot versus how Casey Eusebio shoots, and somebody else, I think, will determine if I'm on the team or not. Casey Eusebio DQ'd last year, so he's only got 2 scores. And so this will be his 3rd score to be submitted. And I think it was, I can't remember. I think Jay Slater did a write-up on this. If I score lower than like 90, low 90s or something like that, he scores above that, he could take the slot, and I wouldn't be on the team. But there's a lot of moving pieces in there. As it stands right now, I'm on the team. I'd love to represent the U.S. going to World Shoot. I did not represent the U.S. I did not make the team by 1 slot. I was 5th in the order at World Shoot, but I did not. I did better. I think I did 4th U.S. So I did. You know what I mean? I did well, even though I wasn't on the team at World Shoot. But yeah, we'll find out next month. Who's going to be on the team officially. I think Seiler and Edens are locked in. I could be wrong. I can't remember I can't remember how the math works out. But yeah, I had a really good 2023 in second at Open Nats, and a decent okay IPSC. And then I had a IPSC this year. I think it was 93% or something. So I've got a 93, a 95, and like a 98, 97, something like that. Mm-hmm. So I've got some decent scores for the team. Those of you who are interested in following where the teams are, who's currently qualified and such, Jay Slater, the shooting analyst.
Yeah, I want to say shooting sports analytics or analyst or something like that. His logo's like graphy guy. It's like different colors with a graph, and
yeah,
but yeah, he's doing great work with the statistics.
Oh, he's doing amazing. J_of_Mars, I think, is his Instagram handle.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's correct. JAY_OF_MARS. Jay Slater does great work, but he has posted the trackers, the Excel spreadsheets of all the points, and explaining what I just said on his socials, as well as he does it for money and fame and power through his Patreon account. You can subscribe to him. I need to do that. In fact, I'm going to here very soon. Support what he does, but yeah, I do wish that we paid more attention as an organization, as a sport, to the teams. It matters. It should matter. We should have some national pride. But the problem is, no one really knows about our sport, and the people who, the majority of the USPSA membership has zero intention of shooting a major match, let alone travel outside the U.S. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of lost in the sauce a little bit there.
Right. Yeah, and then there's a contentious part of the community who don't even they care about going to majors, but they don't care about the World Shoot. They don't care about IPSC. They're like, we're USPSA. Well, we still send contingents to IPSC matches and perform very well. I mean, you think about it. You were 4th American, 10th overall at the World Shoot in 2022 or 2023?
I was. I'm sorry. Say that again.
What year? 22 or 23?
22 was the last one.
Okay. Yeah, because it was COVID screwed up everything. Lord have mercy on that one. Just like the Olympics, it was like 2022. Like they did that weird. They had a weird logo for that.
Yeah, yes. It was. I still have the stickers on some of my mags from World Shoot, and I don't want to stop using them. Oh no, they did announce a date. September 24th through 30th. Oh, I am gonna miss my wife's birthday.
Sorry, honey.
Ooh.
You're going to South Africa.
Ooh.
You better build some brownie points, John.
Okay. Well, I am. Interesting. So that's almost exactly a year from now.
Yep. Which is at least they give you. I mean, what do you say? 4 months needing prep time at least for getting your permits and flights and.
Yeah, 90 days. It can be done in 90. South Africa is going to be easier than Thailand when it comes to bringing guns in, just because they do so many safaris and stuff like that. They have a process. At least that's my assumption. That's why it's easier. But everyone I've talked to has said it's easier to bring guns into South Africa than Thailand. Thailand, the big problem wasn't the guns; it was the ammo.
Yeah, getting ammo over there.
Yeah, you couldn't. You could only what you could bring, and the airlines limited you to 5 kilos.
So what did you buy ammo over there then too? So you brought what you could and then bought match ammo?
I didn't do that. But I was not raised to look at rules as some inviolable, monument to law and order. Mm-hmm. I was raised to look at any rule and say, does this apply to me? Are you sure? What's the why? Hey, rules like everyone should stay on the right side of the road when they're driving. That makes sense. Hey, I'm not going to question that rule. Rock and roll. Rock and roll. Cool. But rules, let's say I'll give you a real life example. Rules that say you have to be 21 to be issued a pistol purchase permit in North Carolina. Those rules I take offense to because the law doesn't say that. It's like that's not what the law says. And we're getting kind of in the weeds there in that specific example. Long story short, there was no law, and I asked them to point to the law, and they had to give me one. So I win.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But when it comes to rules, let me put it this way. I brought 1,000 rounds of my own ammo with me to Thailand. I brought more than 5 kilos of ammo with me to Thailand. And I did this, and I did not break the law, as far as I know. I did lie to one person. And that person was the Delta ticket agent.
Mm-hmm. Do you have ammo? Nope.
No. She knew I had ammo. I was declaring the ammo in one bag.
Mm-hmm.
I was not declaring the 500 rounds in the other bag.
Gotcha.
In the worst case, I was going to put the ammo in my dad's bag, who was standing right next to me. And my dad's an ex-cop. And on the drive to the airport, I told him, I was like, Dad, I need something from you. Okay. Remember all the times you told me, let me do the talking when I was growing up, and you handled it or did whatever, let me do the talking. Okay. I need you to shut up. I need you to just stand there, have your, ID and everything in front of you. I need you to not volunteer anything. Let me handle this. Okay. And he did great. I went on the whole trip with my dad and my two sisters. Everything went fine. But yeah, I had to lie to the ticket agent. And she was like, right at the end, she was like, hey, let's weigh this real quick. Because the handbook says it has to be under, whatever. I'm like, oh, hell. But she already had the other bag pulled behind her. Like, okay, this one's good to go. She pulled it behind her. It has 500 rounds in it. And so she weighs the 500 rounds in front of her, and it goes barely over. She goes, oh, it's fine. It's fine. We'll just put this in the other bag. And I'm like, cool. Now one bag has 550 rounds, and the other bag has 450. As long as all the bags get to my final destination, I'm cool with this. But yeah, South Korea didn't care, and Thailand didn't care. They just wanted you to pay taxes on it. I mean, I didn't even pay taxes on it, so they didn't ask me to.
Was it the bag? The bag you declared with ammo? Was that the one that had the gun in it as well, or was that the other bag?
Yes, one bag had guns, basically guns only, and extra copies of paperwork taped to it and inside it. Because that was one of their. I think they wanted magazines and guns to be separate. But yeah, I had a locked hard case inside that large suitcase with basically the way I set it up is not counting ammo. That bag had everything I needed to compete. I can buy clothes. I can buy hygiene material, supplies. I can buy ammo there, but I need my belt. I need my guns. I need my ideally my shoes and in my Team USA or USA jersey. So everything that's the way I operate is like bare minimums. Like what's my bare minimum to make this happen? Like that gets prioritized. But no, yeah, there was 500 rounds in each to meet the requirements for what they were making the hoops they're going to make me jump through. And other than that, everything was in one bag.
There you go. At least you pack smart. I hate when you go to the airport, and you probably see this because you travel for work and get on planes, and it's like people with their they're not organized when they get to checkpoints, and they've got all their crap, and it's like they're not ready. I hate traveling for this reason because most people do not know how to travel effectively.
Flying in and out of Florida does that for me.
Yeah, Florida.
The elderly holding up. Getting on and off planes or going through like aisles, that kind of thing. There was I'll never forget it. Flying into Florida, there was I don't know, she was probably in her 60s. I think she just had like something wrong with her. Like she was using crutches, but she was larger, and she holds up everyone getting off the plane because of her disability and her size. And she gets out and she blocks the jetway while she dithers with her purse. And then I snake around her to get off the plane. And I hear over my shoulder, why is everyone in such a rush? And I'm thinking to myself, like, were you on the same plane that I was? Like, all of us have been on that thing for 2.5 hours minimum. And you're just now figuring this out? Like, that we want to get off of it? But Florida has a collection of people who either can't or don't realize they need to get out of the way. And
yes.
It's traveling for work has given me new pet peeves that I did not previously have, and that's nice. Yeah, but people having stuff organized is not the norm.
This is true. This is absolutely true. Well, we're getting near our time, but we got to make sure we hit the third topic we were going to talk about, and that is your personal business venture in the last 2 months, or is it maybe 3 now?
I went live end of July.
Okay, so it's almost end of September. So we've been kicking it for a couple months, and that's JV-training.com. If I learned how to read and speak at the same time, it's like chewing bubblegum and walking. Can't do that either. I don't know how I shoot competitively, but so what was the original? What made you decide I'm going to make this, or I'm going to make a product?
jv-training.com, JV Training Accessories is my personal, just me doing it. My wife helps me package stuff sometimes, but it's me, myself, and I 100%. It was my idea. It's my design, my execution, my manufacturing, my packaging. By that I mean labor. I'm not, making Ziplocs. But
That's why Uline is here, right?
yeah, exactly. I get their newsletters now. I never thought that would be me.
But a catalog, just buy enough crap and they send you free stuff.
Exactly. But no, it's my shindig, 100%, and the timing worked out to be perfect. For those who don't know, it is my current product. The only product I'm currently offering is a weighted dry fire mag insert. It's called the Dry Weight mag insert, and it replaces the spring and follower in your magazine with a rubberized, however you want to say it, shell that is filled with lead. A shot that is weighted to the same amount that a loaded magazine would be. So in the case of like a Carry Optics 140 millimeter magazine, it is weighted to 275, 270-ish, around there, plus or minus, grams, which ends up being the same weight of 22 to 24 rounds-ish, I forget the number, of 124 grain loaded ammunition. So it makes it so your mag can't accept ammo, but it gives it the same weight as if it did have ammo for more realistic and applicable dry fire training. It's also safe area legal. It doesn't contain any snap caps or anything. So basically, I have been dry firing off and on for years, and I either use live ammo because of where I live. If I put a hole in the wall facing most directions, it would suck. But oh crap, we can edit that out, right? I don't care if you do or not.
Your wife would be more mad at you if you did that anyway.
Yeah, but no, I love them in the boonies. But yeah, I either use live ammo or I use dummy rounds for a long time. And the downsides of either, is you're dropping these on the carpet. You got rounds that go everywhere. They go underneath furniture. Telling them apart is important, and I'd say that's the most important part of telling live ammo from dummy is knowing who's the dummy. And it's kind of cumbersome. So I was walking my dog in March timeframe. I've been walking my dogs a lot more lately this year, trying to give them a mile 5 days a week, down the road and back. And it's great for me too, gets the blood pumping. And I leave my phone at home. I leave my phone, or at minimum, I don't take it out of my pocket on the walk. And I had an idea, and I'm just trying to let my mind wander with problems that we face in this sport, and like, hey, is there a need? Because I was working at Shooters Connection at the time, and trying to think of products to fill voids and bring products in that fill a niche or need in what we do is important and part of what I did. And I'm like, man, for dry fire, it's not very realistic grabbing an empty mag from your belt, shoving it in the gun. It's not realistic with the weight, and the feel is all wrong. And when it hits the mag well wrong and it goes sideways, like it doesn't feel right. Like it's obviously nicer to have an empty mag hit your foot than a full mag, but for what we're trying to do, it's not really great. And I was like, man, okay, Double Alpha has their practice mags, which are literally just plastic magazines with a weight. From what I hear, they aren't very durable or true to life. So I was like, man, what if we added weight to a mag? And my first idea was in the spring stack, was to put a lead slug with wings of some sort in the spring stack. So you just pull your base pad off, shove this in the spring stack, and then shut it. Physics got in the way. Turns out you need a lot of room, even with lead, to reach that density in a small volume. It's almost like we're using lead already in the same space, and it's probably best just stick with that. But so I ditched that pretty quick, and I was like, man, how would I do this? Okay, it has to be a whole insert. Get them machined? No, that wouldn't be very cost effective. And then I started looking at 3D printing. I knew about Range Panda. Eric Steiner is a great friend of mine. Glad he's a supporter of the podcast. Mm-hmm. And I've had a great relationship with Eric over the years. I love kicking him shit. And I've also over the years I kick him ideas like, hey, we've been asked for this. Like, is that something you think you want to do? We'll go back and forth, kick ideas back and forth. And I pitched this to him with that original intent with the slug, and he's like, he gave me constructive feedback, and it was correct. It was like, man, you have to tackle this and that, and I'm not. He didn't blow me off, but like in my head, I'm like, okay, fine. You don't want to do it, and I just kept rolling it over my head, man. And come early June, or late May, I was looking into 3D printers. In fact, I should go back in my history and see if I can find the first search I did for anything 3D printing related. It was probably late May, early June. Bamboo Lab, which is a 3D printing company who makes great printers, was running an anniversary sale. And I got into an excellent printer for under $1,000 that had the automatic material system, so I could do filament swaps very easily. It was extremely user friendly and I went from having zero effective knowledge of 3D printing, filaments, and the process and design work in early June to having a physical product in my hand that was a proof of concept a month later. So a month later, just doing this on nights and weekends, I could have done it faster if I was a smarter learner. Not a faster learner, but a smarter learner. Mm-hmm. But no, I had proof of concept in my hand in early July, and I had orders from Shooters Connection and Ben Sager Pro Shop, because I know, obviously I worked at Shooters Connection, and I know Tim Myers at Ben Sager Pro Shop. I showed him a proof of concept video and told him what I was planning to do, what I would have and what timeline and what the pricing would be. And he said, I'll take 20. And so he was the first person to actually say, I like what you're doing and I want some. And I love that. So Tim's got a gigantic thumbs up in my book. And so does Shooters Connection, that they were on board as well. And they're currently offered there. So, sales pitch time. If you want to up your dry fire experience with realistic weighted magazine inserts at a reasonable price, $19.95 a piece. I am coming out with new models here very soon. And you can order them direct from me at jv-training.com, or you can get them from your favorite retailer. Shooters Connection, Ben Steger Pro Shop, or Stage Zero Shooting Supply. All has them in stock, ready to go. And current models are version 1 is small frame. It's compatible with a ton of models. Koenig, SIG, M&P. Technically, I don't advertise it. There's something to do with the base pad on there. So reach out to me if you want to make it work with the M&P. So starting over, SIG, CZ 75, CZ P10, Koenig, Beretta, and a few others. Check the description. There's also the 2011 models, both 140 and 170, works across mag brands. And then there's the Glock 140 model. Next models to be released will be the OEM Glock 17 round and Glock 19 15 round, as well as I think the Glock 17 version fits very nicely in the SIG 17 rounders. But carry optics or LO or open, I basically got you covered for mag inserts that are going to replace your spring and follower in seconds and give you that realistic feel and also be safer. It prevents insertion of loaded ammo or any ammo into the mag stack while it's in there. It's made in orange, high vis. If you want different colors, you reach out to me. Maybe we can make it work. But yeah, it's what I do. I feel that it brings value to dry fire and enhances that experience and adds a layer of safety we all need and want in our hobby and sport. And I'm open to feedback. I've shipped several hundred of them, and I've yet to have any negative feedback. Knock on wood. But I've had some constructive feedback on what I should do next. So I'm trying to roll into the off season. And other than that, trying to make a quality product that I stood behind. That I stand behind 100%. If you have any issues whatsoever, I'll get it taken care of. In our sport.
Oh, and listeners, I've been using these. I don't know. I've had these. What? It's been over a month now. If I remember, the last two got to me a little over a month ago now, and I've been using them when I dry fire. I can't say daily dry fire because sometimes it's like, you gun, just sit on the bench. I really don't care to touch you today. So it's like, but and for me, with using all Henning Group pouches, I can't use a double alpha practice mag, other than it dropping out of my gun every time and have to pick it up all the time. And I don't really care to pick things up most of the time. So there's a benefit to the JV training dry insert. I like them. They're cool. You still don't dry fire without shoes on because you're a sadist, I guess, if you do that. And you really want to be a glutton for punishment and drop mags on your feet. But I really like them. John, and you sent me the 170 to try. I purchased the 140s because I believe in you and I believe in the product. And I think it's a better quality of training. I feel, because the 7 rounds are realistic and it's safer. I mean, there are other products similar to this that don't add weight, like back in the day when the rack. Do you ever remember the Rack Buddy from your days at Shooters Connection?
Yeah. I brought those on from John Arenas, who is a quitter. He's a quitter.
Because he's a Florida guy, isn't he?
Yeah, he's not in the sport anymore. He's selling all his guns.
Yep. Womp womp.
Womp, womp.
But I used those, and then it was always a pain in the butt, and you'd have to cram them into your magazine over dummy rounds, which I think you'd probably wear your springs out prematurely doing that. But
I'd be more worried about feed lips. I remember those.
Yeah, you'd definitely jack up some feed lips doing that.
Yeah, it's those were, they meant well. They are also there was a patent, I think, on like Rogers Shooting School or something like that. Or Rogers, the guy from Rogers Shooting School, had one very similar like that. But it's just a small tab that goes in your mag that rests on top of your rounds, if I remember correctly, and blocks the rounds from coming up into the tower and being fed. What I've done with the insert is it just completely eliminates that concern. It may be technically faster to insert one of those or either if you do it right, but with our base pads, with competition base pads and most base pads, taking them on and off is trivial. I will say that is a big part of a big thing at play. So if I try to bring this mainstream, like with which I do plan to, have these available for that's what I'm working on right now. Actually, is the OEM, most common pistol magazines. Get them to fit in that. Glock base pads, OEM Glock OEM, base pad that comes on a Glock brand Glock mag is the biggest bitch and a half to take off.
Oh, 100%. You need like a vise, 3 tools, and like some beer because it's rough.
So if I'm trying to market something that just take your base pad off, it's like, no. So but at the same time, if you carry a Glock, it's your fault. I carry a Glock, so I mean it's also my fault. But that's part of the concern is trying to make it as user friendly as possible. And cross that bridge as we get to it.
Mm-hmm. And I can't think of any better ways. I mean, you put your money where your mouth was. You sponsored the Western Pennsylvania, the Practical Shooting Live feed, the Skycam and the drone footage from them so you're willing to put your money where your mouth is on your product and get it out there, which is impressive. Like we've talked a little bit about this. I'm gonna do some awesome things. I'll put it in the post show. So you people, when I figure this out, and John and I figure this out, it'll be somewhere in the show where I hi, me in the future. Just because I got to figure it out still. I got to figure out how I'm going to say it. So, but John, bro, I had fun. Like I absolutely genuinely, I enjoy you as a person. I enjoyed this conversation immensely.
Thank you.
My wife is probably like, you talk about this guy too much. No, he's cool. He may be but it's all good. But brother, I want to thank you for, being one. I want to congratulate you. Congratulations on being a national champion, and thank you for joining me and hanging out with me tonight and talking about shooting. Nationals, Mark 7, everything, and your inserts. I honestly had a really good time.
I had a great time as well. Thanks for having me on, Manny. I really appreciate it. It's funny having nationals in the rear view and it not being what stages should I post that don't make me look bad? I honestly, I could post any one of my stages, and I'm not saying that from a performance point of view. I could nitpick each and every one of my stages, for what I could have done better. But I want to show people, I am over the moon with how proud I am of what I've achieved and what my wife and family has helped me to achieve. I called my wife first after it was over, and I called my dad second, my mom third, because that's the order they are on my phone. And I'm not going to try to stand on a hill and say, like, oh, believe in yourself and you can do it too. But I will say that Casey Eusebio helped me get here in one way. I want to say it was a Talladega Open Nationals, so it could have been last year. Pretty sure it was 22-ish. I was having a rough second day. I was just inconsistent, and we're in on some speed stages, waiting. It's side-by-side speed stages, and we're waiting for our turn. And I talked to Casey, and I'm like, hey, man, like, how do you get your mind around when you feel like you're going off the rails? How do you get your mind back on track? Generic mental management questions. And I forget what he said exactly, but, he's trying to do it. It's like, and we talked a little bit, and he's like, man, it's like, I think you're being too hard on yourself. I was like, well, of course, like, we're on the freaking super squad at the Open Nationals. Like, if you're going to be hard on yourself, here's where you do it, and he's like, no, it's like, man, you forget. Winning one of these things is freaking hard. Like, you have expectations for yourself, and like winning a national championship is hard. It wouldn't be worth, and I'm paraphrasing after this, but it wouldn't be worth doing if it wasn't. And I got lost in that somewhere along the way of this is what I know I can do, therefore it should be happening every time. And I hold myself to that standard. And I will tell you this, Casey's right. Winning a national championship is freaking hard. And I don't want to tell people like, oh, you can do it too. It's like, of course you can do it. Of course it's possible. Like, I'm here more by luck than anything else. My situation, I'm just saying, like, not necessarily my national performance, but like all of it together. And I'm really glad this weight is off my shoulders, man. I've been trying for so long. And I'll leave you with one last thing. Everyone, and I mean it, everyone underestimates how much mental management comes into our sport. I'll just say that.
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't disagree on that. That's for sure. Even in my own personal local matches, it's there. So, but
yes,
brother, thank you for coming on, guys. Make sure you guys check out jv-training.com. Get yourself some inserts. You'll thank John and I later because I think it'll be better for your dry fire. Have that realistic feel and weight.
If you don't like them, tell me why. There's a contact us on the page, on the website. Tell me what you don't like about them, please. I want to hear from you. I want to know what you guys think of it and how I can do it better. Because this is a one-man shop, so it's all my fault.
Mm-hmm. Well, blame the dogs.
Oh,
they can't defend themselves.
Exactly.
But listeners, thank you for joining us on this special episode of Manny Talks Shooting. Get out and do the things. I'm going to see you on the next one.